Now let me welcome on to Field of 68's Big East Media Day coverage, none other than Greg McDermott, Creighton head coach. Mac, I want to start with this. We've been talking about this for about 3 weeks on our show, and it's not what you think I'm going to go with. Ryan Kalkbrenner is the most underrated and underappreciated superstar in college basketball. True or false?
True. It baffled me last year as the draft boards were coming out, and Donovan Clingan's a terrific talent, and he had a great college career and he's going to have a great NBA career. But is he a top 10 pick and Kalkbrenner's nowhere to be found?
That's strange.
So because they both impact the game in similar ways. They're, defensively, you don't go there. It's not just the shots you block, it's the ones you change and the ones the opponent doesn't take because you're there. So, I hope, I think the best is yet to come for Ryan, which is really exciting for me.
Does it feel good to kind of get credit as a defensive coach when you just kind of say, hey, Cal, get out there and be 7-1?
Yeah, really. It's brilliant stuff, isn't it? Yeah, that's the rim. Don't let anybody near it.
He does it without fouling, which to me is the most baffling thing because they attack him constantly.
Amazing. 4 years. He's never fouled out. And 9 times he's had 4 fouls.
That's incredible.
I mean, for what we ask him to do, he's really smart about the defensive end of the floor, when to leave the floor, when to stay on the floor, and his leadership's been off the charts.
Yeah, for sure the most underrated player in college basketball over the past 2 years. But I'm curious about your backcourt. You look at Stephen Ashworth, who I'm just going to be honest, Coach. He looks like he works for the Big East. I don't know. It doesn't look like he's playing for the Big East. He walked by. I was like, I wonder what position he holds here. But him and Pop Isaacs together, I mean, both guys can initiate. Both guys can ignite the break. How have those guys been functioning together in the early preseason?
I've been really pleased. They're both fast with the ball. Stephen, once he's settled in and I think got a feel for our system, where the shots are coming from, once we hit 4 or 5 games into conference play, he was really good from that point forward. He was great at Iowa State the other day in a close scrimmage, and the Iowa State staff complimented us on how well he and Pop are fitting together. Pop's hard-nosed, he's tough, he can make baskets. I think he's getting better opportunities for more high-quality shots in our system to this point, and I just think you're going to see an uptick in his efficiency.
Yeah. What's the balance with a guy like Pop Isaacs where you kind of have to let him be, for lack of better terms, his own level of crazy, because that's what makes him good, and at the same time kind of fitting him in? Because I've always found that pretty intriguing. Pat Kelsey's got a couple of guys like that. Pop, I would consider a guy like that. How hard is that to find the balance?
I mean, part of your job as a coach is you want to let guys be themselves.
Sure.
But you also, these guys all have aspirations to play after college. So you also have to share with them what the knock is on them. And here's what you need to fix. Here's what they're saying. And Pop just needs to make sure he uses his emotion as a friend, not an enemy. And I think he's done a really good job of that. And he's bought in, and, he's played. I'm his 3rd coach in 3 years.
Sure.
So, you've got all those things in your head of different habits that people are trying to get you to learn. And now I'm breaking those and teaching him new ones. So, but he's embraced it. He's an everyday guy in practice in terms of the way he competes. And, he's going to be an important part of what we do this season.
Fedor Zugic, any update on his status? Any idea when we can have an answer?
It's going to be ongoing. I think it's, I wouldn't expect him certainly at the start of the season. His attorneys and his family are working with the NCAA lockstep on what needs to be done and the information that they need. And, it was a late ad in the summertime for us, but he was too talented not to take a swing on.
100%.
So, we'll continue to support him and provide the information to the NCAA that they need.
I know you guys had a huge Filipino fan base when Kobe Paris was on the roster. Are you expecting a bump in Creighton jerseys being sold in Montenegro?
Yeah, that's a possibility. Although that Kobe Paris deal was next level. I probably didn't realize his popularity when he showed up on campus.
How do you replace a guy like Baylor Shireman? I mean, that part's tough. You got a lot of guys in 6'8", 6'9" range that are skilled, but like his ability to board, ignite the break, take off himself. How do you?
Yeah, Baylor and Trey are hard to replace. They did so much,
Sure.
And a lot of it didn't show up on the stat sheet. The thing I'm concerned about Baylor, he led the Big East in defensive rebounds. He's one of the best positional rebounders I've ever coached. And where do those 8 or 9 defensive rebounds against high-level teams, where do they come from? And they're going to have to come by committee. But they both had such a high basketball IQ and an understanding of how to play the game. And now we're trying to get this next group of guys ready to do that. And, so far, while we're not as long as Trey and Baylor, we're faster. Jemiah and Pop have great speed in the full court. I think we'll be able to rotate and create some havoc a little bit more defensively than we have in the past.
Well, the biggest question that I have for you guys this year is when things break, like you guys are going to run your stuff. You're going to scheme on ways to get shots. You're going to have Pop running off a pin down here or in screen here. What happens when it breaks down? Like you had a guy like Trey that could just kind of go get his own. Like he's going to dribble around. He's going to take that little 8-foot turnaround jumper, and you're not going to be able to stop it, right?
Yeah.
Where does that come from this year?
I hope Jemiah, he has the ability to do that. I just don't need him to do it in the first 6 seconds of the shot clock. That's what we're working on. But he has the ability to go get a shot. He's 6'6", he's long, he's athletic, he's shifty. And Pop can do that a little bit as well. And I've been impressed, probably surprisingly impressed with Jemiah and Pop's ability to pass the basketball and make decisions and create opportunities for their teammates. So, hopefully we don't get in those situations. We'd like to take the shot a little quicker than that. But if we do, I think Jemiah is the guy.
Did you know T.O. is all in on golf right now? Like he literally every day he's golfing.
It's a new thing.
Really?
I'm trying. I can flirt with mid to high 80s, which to me is I'm pretty happy with that on a given day. But yeah,
it's my release. It's the one time I turn the phone off and unplug for a little bit. And it's the game will humble you. As soon as you think you got it, man, it'll bring you to your knees
for five holes and just forget it.
Yeah,
you're in the trees.
It's over. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're ever in the upstate of South Carolina, I live in Greenville. If you're ever there, I'll get Brad to come up, drive up from Clemson. We'll all play.
We got some good spots there, huh?
I got one.
Good.
I got one. We'll do it.
That's what I like to hear.
When he hit stop on the recording button here, he'll tell you the stories all about the place that he plays at. So
yeah, it's good stuff. That's good stuff. No, hey, one last question. It's just because I enjoy watching your teams play so much. When did it flip for you to be like, we're going to play super fast? I know this is years ago, but your style of play, I remember being on staff at Clemson when we played down in the Caymans, and it was like your head just flipped and you guys were down there. Was that always the case, or when did that kind of flip on you?
When I was at Northern Iowa, we had to kind of control tempo. We didn't necessarily, we had really good players. I'm not sure we had the top talent in the league. So I controlled a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And then it just happened by chance. We were in the CBI my first year at Creighton. We had 10 days. That's the ugliest coat I've ever seen that Cooley's wearing. We had 10 days before we played the first game. And what do you do with a team that has no desire to play in the CBI, but you have to get them ready? So we played a 7-game NBA series that week of practice, the young guys, which was Doug's freshman class, against a bunch of seniors that we had, Caleb Korver, Casey Hire, and Kenny Lawson. And I had the young guys play fast, and I loved it. And then we just fortunately played Davidson in the second round of the CBI, and Bob's team came at you like a freight train. And I started studying what they did, and I kind of fell in love with it. It's you have to take the reins off as a coach and understand there's going to be some more mistakes because of the way you're playing. But it's, besides being a fun brand of basketball to play, it's a fun brand to coach.
That's a really nice way of saying we brought in Grant Gibbs, Ethan Rogge, and Doug McDermott, and none of them could guard. So we had to do something.
I didn't say that, you did.
There's two sides to that.
It's probably true. Yeah.
That's great. Man. Great to see you, man. Best of luck this season. And we're going to keep riding that Ryan Kalkbrenner hype train.
I appreciate it, boys. Thank you,
man.
Good to see you.